Have you ever wondered why some people are remembered, longed for, and missed, while others fade into the background without a trace? Have you ever felt that ache when someone you care about seems distant, when your presence no longer sparks the connection you crave? It's a feeling that cuts deep, a quiet frustration that whispers, "Why doesn't he notice me? Why doesn't he miss me?" If you've ever felt that way, you are not alone. This is a struggle many women face, and the truth is far more empowering than you might think. The answer doesn't lie in chasing, in constant messages, or in bending yourself into what you think he wants. The answer lies in understanding the deep, subtle psychology of human desire and connection, why people miss each other, and how absence, value, and presence work in mysterious, magnetic ways. Right now, you might be thinking, is there really a way to make him miss me? The answer is yes, but it's not about tricks, manipulations, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about tapping into the natural patterns of attraction, attention, and longing that exist in every human heart. And here's the powerful part. By understanding these truths, you not only inspire him to miss you, but you also reclaim your own power, your self-respect, and your confidence. This isn't just about him noticing you. It's about you feeling seen, valued, and irreplaceable in your own life. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like if he started realizing your absence. Not in a moment of frustration, but in a moment of quiet realization. What if he suddenly noticed the laughter that brightened the room, the warmth of your presence, the way your attention and care were a rare gift, not something ordinary or guaranteed? Imagine the shift in energy when he begins to miss your voice, your smile, the unique spark that only you can bring into his life. That is not fantasy. That is human psychology at work. People naturally notice what they cannot fully hold on to. People naturally long for what they cannot control or predict. And when you step into that knowledge, when you carry yourself with confidence and purpose, you awaken a desire in him that is beyond words, a longing that makes your absence felt in the deepest way. But before we go further, it's important to promise you something. If you stay with this video until the very end, you'll discover not just one, but multiple strategies to make him truly miss you, not by being needy, not by chasing, but by creating a powerful presence that draws him toward you naturally. You'll learn how to harness the subtle forces of attention, value, and emotional connection so that your absence becomes a force that inspires desire. By the end of this video, you won't just understand how to make him miss you. You'll feel empowered, confident, and ready to embrace the woman you are meant to be, someone whose presence is magnetic and unforgettable. Now let's pause and think about why this works. Human beings are wired in a fascinating way. We are drawn to challenge, to curiosity, and to things we cannot fully grasp. When something feels abundant or predictable, we often overlook it, but when it is rare, when it carries a hint of mystery or a sense of worth, our minds attach value to it immediately. This is why people miss others who are not always there. This is why absence can create longing. And most importantly, this is why learning to step back while still holding your own power can transform the way he thinks about you. At the core of this, there is a deeper truth that goes beyond relationships. People are drawn to strength, to confidence, and to authenticity. When you show that your happiness does not depend on him, when you show that your life is full and vibrant, with or without his constant attention, you spark a shift in perception. He begins to notice the energy you carry, the value you offer, and the rare quality of your presence. And in that moment, absence becomes a magnet. You don't have to push, plead, or prove anything. Simply being yourself, whole, confident, and aware creates a pull that words alone cannot achieve. So as we move forward in this video, remember this. Everything I am about to share is rooted in real psychology and real human behavior. These are principles that have helped countless women reclaim their power and their presence to be seen in ways they were not before. By the time we finish, you will understand how to make a man notice the woman you are, how to make him feel the weight of your absence, and most importantly, how to do it in a way that strengthens you rather than diminishes you. It all starts with a shift in perspective. The shift is simple, yet profound. You must see yourself as valuable, rare, and worthy, not dependent on his attention, but inspiring it naturally. When you step into this mindset, the way you carry yourself changes, your words carry weight, your presence carries meaning, and your absence becomes unforgettable. That is the reward I promise you if you stay until the end, the knowledge, the confidence, and the inner power to create real longing, real desire, and real respect without losing yourself along the way. So take a deep breath and prepare to step into a new way of being, one where your presence matters, where your absence is felt, and where your worth is never questioned. You are about to learn the secrets that change everything, secrets that make him think of you when you're not around, that make him realize what he's been missing, and most importantly, that make you feel empowered in every interaction. This journey is not about games. It is about understanding, about strategy, and about stepping into the confident, magnetic woman you already are. There is a strange, undeniable power in absence. It is one of the most misunderstood forces in relationships. Many believe that constant presence and attention are the keys to being loved and remembered, but the truth is the opposite. When someone is always available, always responding, always there, they often become invisible. Their value is taken for granted. Their presence becomes ordinary. But when you learn to step back, even just a little, a shift occurs. The mind begins to notice. The heart begins to feel. Absence awakens a quiet longing that attention alone cannot create. Imagine him realizing that you are not constantly within reach, that your time, energy, and attention are not endlessly available. Suddenly, his thoughts start to wander. He recalls moments when your laughter filled the air, when your smile lit up the room, when your attention made him feel seen in ways he rarely experiences. These moments, once taken for granted, now shine brightly in his memory. Absence creates space for reflection. It gives him the chance to recognize your value, to feel the weight of your presence in ways that proximity often prevents. Absence is not about playing games or testing his loyalty. It is not about pushing him away with coldness or indifference. It is about understanding the natural rhythm of human connection. When people have space to breathe, they begin to understand what they are missing. They begin to remember not just what you do for them, but who you are, the unique combination of warmth, energy, and authenticity that cannot be replaced. In the quiet created by your absence, desire grows, memories are revisited, appreciation deepens, and longing, that subtle but powerful emotion, starts to take root. This principle is deeply rooted in psychology. Humans are wired to attach greater value to things that feel rare or fleeting. Constant availability often diminishes perceived worth, while scarcity increases attention and desire. When you allow moments of absence, you tap into this natural tendency. He begins to notice the small things, the way you move, the subtle tones in your voice, the little gestures that show thoughtfulness. These are the details that are easily overlooked when someone is always present. But in absence, they become unforgettable. Absence also gives you the opportunity to regain your own power. When you step back, you are no longer defined by someone else's attention. You create space to focus on yourself, to nurture your passions, to build confidence and joy that are independent of his reactions. This independence is magnetic. People are drawn to those who live fully, whose happiness does not hinge on constant validation. By prioritizing yourself, you naturally become someone worth missing. Your life becomes a beacon, a force that draws attention without effort. And in that magnetic pull, he starts to realize your importance. It is important to understand that absence works best when it is intentional and balanced. Too much distance can create disconnection, while too little makes you invisible. The art lies in finding the rhythm where your presence feels meaningful and your absence feels significant. This rhythm is not fixed, it is fluid, shaped by understanding, intuition, and observation. When applied with awareness, it creates a delicate tension that keeps him thinking about you, wondering about you, and ultimately missing you. Absence also awakens reflection. When someone is constantly present, there is little room to reflect on feelings, to recognize emotional gaps, or to understand the depth of what they have. But when you step away, even temporarily, his mind begins to fill the space with thoughts of you. He recalls the laughter, the connection, the sense of comfort and warmth that you bring into his life. These memories, once background noise, now demand attention. Absence does not create longing through emptiness. It creates longing by highlighting the presence that truly matters. Another powerful aspect of absence is the sense of mystery it creates. People are naturally curious. When every detail is available, curiosity fades. When some moments, some feelings, some aspects of your life remain unseen, they become intriguing. He starts to wonder, to imagine, to seek. This curiosity becomes desire. Absence allows you to preserve your individuality, your depth, and your uniqueness. You are no longer a predictable presence. You are a treasure to be discovered, a mind to be explored, and a heart to be valued. Absence also teaches appreciation. When someone realizes that you are not taken for granted, they begin to value the attention, care, and love you provide. This appreciation is not forced. It is earned naturally through the subtle understanding that your presence is precious and cannot be assumed. In the quiet space of absence, he begins to see the contrast between what is available and what is rare. He begins to understand your importance in ways that constant presence rarely allows. Finally, absence builds desire that is deep and lasting. It is not a fleeting attraction or a shallow infatuation. It is the kind of longing that touches emotions, engages memory, and resonates with the heart. When combined with confidence, self-respect, and authenticity, absence becomes more than a strategy. It becomes a natural extension of your presence. You do not have to chase, demand, or plead. Your value is already established, and in stepping back, you allow him to feel it fully. Understanding the power of absence transforms relationships. It teaches patience, confidence, and self-awareness. It shifts focus from dependence to magnetism. It allows the right person to recognize your worth, to feel the depth of your presence, and to experience longing that goes beyond surface attraction. Absence is not emptiness. It is the quiet force that amplifies your value, strengthens your impact, and awakens emotions that attention alone cannot inspire. When used with wisdom and self-respect, absence becomes the most natural, powerful way to make someone miss you. It is not about games or control. It is about honoring yourself, understanding human psychology, and allowing the connection to deepen in meaningful ways. The more you step into your own power, the more he feels it. The more he feels it, the more he realizes that your presence is a gift, your attention is a treasure, and your absence is a reminder of the unique, irreplaceable woman he is lucky to know. True desire begins with self-value. If you want someone to miss you, to feel your absence deeply, the first step is to recognize your own worth. Too often, the mistake is looking outward for validation, waiting for someone to notice, to appreciate, to confirm that you matter. But the strongest, most magnetic energy comes from within. When you honor yourself, when you recognize the unique qualities you carry, you become someone whose presence naturally commands attention. You stop chasing, and instead you radiate an energy that draws others in effortlessly. Understanding your value is not about pride or arrogance. It is about awareness. It is about knowing that your time, your emotions, and your attention are precious, and that not everyone is automatically entitled to them. When you act from this place, everything changes. People respond to energy. They notice when someone carries themselves with confidence, when they stand firm in their self-respect, when they refuse to be diminished by the opinions or actions of others. This is the energy that makes him pause, that makes him think twice, that makes him feel the weight of your absence when you are not there. Self-value also creates a boundary between dependence and desire. A person who is constantly available, who bends their own needs to suit someone else, often loses significance in the other person's mind. But a woman who prioritizes her own life, her own growth, and her own happiness becomes irreplaceable. She is no longer someone to be taken for granted. She is someone to be appreciated. When you carry this energy, the natural consequence is that absence is felt more deeply. The stronger your sense of self, the stronger the pull you create when you step back. Valuing yourself also changes the way you communicate. When you speak from a place of self-respect, your words carry weight. When you act from a place of authenticity, your actions become meaningful. He notices the difference between attention given freely and attention given reluctantly. He notices the contrast between someone who demands recognition and someone who exudes it naturally. By valuing yourself, you are no longer chasing validation. You are creating it through your presence, your confidence, and your sense of completeness. Confidence, however, is not built overnight. It grows through small victories, through the daily practice of honoring your own needs, and through the refusal to settle for less than you deserve. Every choice you make to prioritize yourself, to invest in your own growth, to pursue your passions, strengthens your inner magnetism. This is the energy that draws attention, that sparks curiosity, and that makes absence resonate more profoundly. When he begins to feel the weight of your presence, he simultaneously begins to feel the weight of your absence. Understanding your value also means embracing your individuality. You are not meant to conform to someone else's expectations or to shape yourself into an image that you think will make him care. True attraction comes from authenticity. It comes from living fully, from expressing yourself honestly, from nurturing the qualities that make you unique. When you embrace who you are, when you refuse to dilute yourself for someone else, you create a presence that cannot be replicated. And when you step back, it is this authenticity that he misses most. The psychology behind this is simple but profound. Humans are naturally drawn to confidence, to self-sufficiency, and to authenticity. We notice people who have clear boundaries, who value their time and energy, and who radiate self-respect. When someone embodies these qualities, absence is no longer just a gap in physical presence. It becomes a moment of reflection, a space to recognize what is missing, and a trigger for emotional longing. By valuing yourself first, you set the stage for this natural process to unfold. Self-value also strengthens emotional resilience. When you know your worth, you are less affected by the ups and downs of attention and affection. You no longer panic when someone seems distant or chase when validation feels scarce. Instead, you move with calm assurance, grounded in the knowledge that your presence is meaningful and your absence has impact. This emotional strength is magnetic. It creates a sense of mystery, a subtle pull, and an irresistible presence that lingers even when you are not there. Another crucial aspect of valuing yourself is clarity in expectations. When you understand what you deserve, you do not tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, or neglect. You choose to invest your energy where it is met with appreciation. This clarity is empowering, and it subtly teaches others how to treat you. When he sees that your attention is not automatic, that your love and care are gifts rather than entitlements, he begins to realize that losing you is not an option. This is the essence of making someone miss you, not through manipulation, but through self-respect and deliberate presence. Finally, valuing yourself first transforms the energy of relationships entirely. It changes the way you think, the way you act, and the way you feel. Instead of living in anxiety, uncertainty, or fear of loss, you operate from a place of strength, confidence, and inner peace. He senses this shift instinctively. Your life becomes full, vibrant, and magnetic. Your absence is felt not as emptiness, but as a reminder of the strength, warmth, and uniqueness you bring. Valuing yourself is the foundation for all other steps. It is the reason absence has power, the reason mystery intrigues, and the reason emotional connection deepens. When you recognize your worth, when you honor your needs, and when you stand firmly in your own light, everything else falls into place naturally. Desire is no longer forced, it flows effortlessly. Attention is no longer demanded, it is given freely. And absence becomes a quiet, powerful force that leaves a lasting impact on anyone fortunate enough to know you. By internalizing this truth, you become the woman who is unforgettable, the one whose presence matters, whose attention is cherished, and whose absence awakens longing. It is not about games or manipulation. It is about stepping fully into yourself, acknowledging your value, and allowing others to see and feel the power of the woman you are. Mystery is one of the most powerful tools in creating attraction and making someone truly notice your absence. When everything about you is predictable and fully revealed, interest fades. The mind craves curiosity and the heart responds to intrigue. A person is naturally drawn to what they cannot fully understand or control, and the subtle layers of mystery create an irresistible pull. Mystery is not about deception or hiding who you are. It is about revealing yourself selectively, allowing your depth and uniqueness to unfold gradually. When you cultivate mystery, every interaction gains weight. Simple conversations become moments of discovery. Small gestures carry meaning beyond the surface. Even silence can become magnetic when it leaves space for reflection and imagination. Mystery makes your presence feel rare and significant. It transforms ordinary moments into unforgettable experiences. By holding back just enough, you create a space for him to notice what he might have overlooked, to value what he has, and to wonder about the woman he is getting to know. Humans are psychologically wired to pay more attention to what they cannot fully grasp. Predictability leads to familiarity, and familiarity can lead to indifference. Mystery, on the other hand, engages curiosity and triggers emotional investment. When someone senses that there is more to discover about you, their mind becomes active. They think about you more often. They replay memories, analyze conversations, and imagine possibilities. This natural process of attention and reflection creates longing. It makes absence feel deeper and presence feel more impactful. The art of mystery begins with understanding your own boundaries and comfort. It is not about being distant or cold, but about revealing yourself intentionally. Share your thoughts, experiences, and emotions with care. Let him see glimpses of your inner world, enough to feel connection, but leave room for wonder. When you allow your layers to be discovered gradually, every new revelation becomes meaningful. Each moment of insight deepens appreciation, and every unanswered question sparks curiosity. Mystery also protects your energy. When you reveal everything at once, you give away emotional power. You become predictable, and your presence loses its magnetism. But when you hold space for yourself, when you allow your uniqueness to unfold slowly, your energy remains intact. This creates an invisible tension, a subtle pull that draws him in without effort. He starts to recognize that your attention is valuable, that your time is precious, and that your presence is something to be cherished rather than taken for granted. Another aspect of mystery is the power of restraint in communication. Constant messages, explanations, or oversharing can reduce interest, even unintentionally. Limiting what you reveal and pacing your interactions encourages him to invest thought and emotion into your presence. It allows him to anticipate, to reflect, and to recognize the rarity of your attention. This form of subtle strategy is not about manipulation. It is about creating conditions for genuine desire to grow naturally. Mystery also enhances the impact of your individuality. When you cultivate depth and complexity, you show that you cannot be easily categorized or fully understood. You are multidimensional, with passions, dreams, and experiences that extend beyond the relationship. This richness of character makes him appreciate the moments he shares with you even more, and when you step back, it makes him feel your absence profoundly. It is the combination of depth and selective sharing that creates lasting intrigue. The psychological effect of mystery is closely linked to memory and emotional attachment. Humans remember things that are meaningful, surprising, or stimulating. When someone senses there is more to discover about you, they attach emotional significance to every interaction. Conversations are replayed in the mind, gestures are recalled with warmth. Your laughter and energy linger in memory. Mystery turns ordinary moments into anchors that evoke longing, even when you are not present. Mystery is also a form of respect for yourself and for the relationship. By not revealing everything at once, you honor your own boundaries, your time, and your emotional energy. At the same time, you invite him to invest attention and thought into the connection. He learns to see you as valuable, to appreciate your uniqueness, and to recognize the importance of your presence. The result is a dynamic where absence is felt more deeply and desire grows naturally, without force or pressure. Cultivating mystery requires confidence and self-awareness. You must understand your own worth and trust that you do not need to overshare to be valued. You must be comfortable with the idea that not every detail of your life or your mind needs to be revealed immediately. Confidence allows you to create intrigue without anxiety. Self-awareness ensures that your selective revealing aligns with authenticity, so that curiosity is genuine and not contrived. When mystery is paired with these qualities, it becomes a powerful force in shaping attention and desire. Finally, mystery transforms relationships by deepening emotional connection. It encourages reflection, it sparks curiosity, and it fosters anticipation. When someone cannot fully predict your thoughts, actions, or emotions, they remain engaged, attentive, and invested. They notice the subtle qualities that make you unique. They begin to appreciate the value of your presence and feel the weight of your absence. This is not a temporary effect. It creates lasting impressions that deepen emotional attachment over time. Mystery, therefore, is not an act or a strategy. It is a way of being. It is about living fully, expressing selectively, and allowing your complexity to shine gradually. It is about honoring your own depth and giving him the chance to recognize it naturally. By mastering the art of mystery, you create an aura that is magnetic, captivating, and unforgettable. Your presence becomes something to cherish, your absence becomes something to feel, and your value becomes undeniable. One of the most powerful ways to make someone miss you is to stop centering your life around them. When you devote all your energy to being noticed, to chasing attention, or to seeking validation, you unintentionally reduce your own significance. The mind notices effort more than presence, and effort without balance often leads to being taken for granted. By focusing on your life, your passions, and your growth, you naturally become magnetic. Your energy shifts from seeking to radiating, from needing to inspiring, from chasing to being. Living fully means filling your days with purpose and joy, independent of anyone else's actions. It is about cultivating skills, hobbies, and experiences that enrich your life and make you feel alive. When you pursue your dreams, invest in your personal development, and dedicate time to things that bring you happiness, you demonstrate self-sufficiency. This self-sufficiency is magnetic. People are instinctively drawn to those whose lives are full, vibrant, and unapologetically their own. The more fulfilled you are, the more he feels the contrast when you are not around. Absence becomes noticeable, and your presence becomes unforgettable. Focusing on your life also shifts the emotional dynamic. When your happiness is not dependent on constant attention, you become calm, confident, and centered. You no longer act from anxiety or fear of loss. Instead, you operate from a place of strength and clarity. This stability is compelling. It makes him feel that he must step up, that your time and energy are valuable, and that your attention cannot be assumed. When you carry this energy, you create a natural tension that fosters longing. He begins to think about you, reflect on your importance, and notice the subtle ways your absence affects him. Another key element of focusing on your life is personal growth. Every time you improve your mind, body, or skills, you increase your sense of self-worth. This growth is visible in your confidence, your demeanor, and your interactions. When someone sees you evolving, they instinctively recognize that your attention is earned, not guaranteed. The more you invest in yourself, the more memorable your presence becomes, and the deeper your absence is felt. Growth communicates value in ways that words cannot. Investing in your life also strengthens independence. When you rely less on external validation and more on your own achievements and joy, you send a clear message. You are whole on your own. This independence is magnetic because it demonstrates that your presence is a choice, not an obligation. It encourages him to appreciate your uniqueness, your energy, and the quality of your attention. People are naturally drawn to those who are self-contained, yet generous with their care. By living fully, you become someone whose presence is treasured and whose absence is felt. Time is one of the most valuable resources you have. When you dedicate it wisely to your own priorities, you create scarcity without manipulation. Scarcity makes your attention more meaningful and your absence more noticeable. By prioritizing yourself, you encourage him to reflect on what it means when you are not immediately available. He begins to associate your presence with quality, not quantity, and this association strengthens emotional attachment. Living your life fully creates an aura of significance that no chasing can replicate. Focusing on your life also sharpens your emotional resilience. When your happiness comes from within, you are less affected by his moods, distractions, or distance. You remain grounded, composed, and confident. This emotional strength is captivating because it communicates stability and security. People are drawn to others who maintain their balance, even when circumstances fluctuate. By demonstrating resilience, you show that your presence is a choice, your energy is valuable, and your attention cannot be taken for granted. Another advantage of focusing on your life is that it creates moments of genuine intrigue. When someone notices that you have a rich inner world, a busy and fulfilling life, and interests that extend beyond the relationship, they begin to wonder, to anticipate, and to value your attention more deeply. Mystery and independence work together to create a powerful emotional pull. Your absence is no longer a simple gap. It becomes a reminder of the fullness, energy, and uniqueness you bring to every interaction. The psychology behind this approach is simple. Humans are naturally drawn to those who exhibit autonomy, purpose, and joy. When someone radiates these qualities, they become memorable and desirable. Their absence triggers reflection, curiosity, and longing. By focusing on your life, you are not manipulating emotions. You are simply living authentically, allowing natural attraction and appreciation to develop. His longing becomes a reflection of your strength, vibrancy, and self-respect. Living fully also enhances the quality of your interactions. When you bring joy, confidence, and energy into conversations and shared moments, you create experiences that are emotionally rich and memorable. He remembers the warmth, the excitement, and the engagement. When you step away, even temporarily, these experiences linger in his mind. Absence amplifies the value of the moments you share, and desire grows naturally without force. Ultimately, focusing on your life is about reclaiming power and perspective. It is about making your happiness independent of external attention, investing in growth and radiating energy that cannot be ignored. It is about demonstrating that your presence is a gift and your absence is a force that encourages reflection and longing. By living fully, you transform yourself into someone unforgettable, magnetic, and deeply valued. This approach is subtle, yet it works at the deepest levels of human psychology. Desire is not created through constant attention or dependency. It is cultivated through independence, purpose, and the natural pull of someone who values themselves. By focusing on your life, you make him notice what he might have overlooked. You make him reflect on your worth. You make him feel the difference your presence brings. And in that space, he begins to miss you, not because he is forced to, but because your life, energy, and authenticity have created a lasting impression that resonates deeply. By dedicating yourself to your passions, dreams, and personal growth, you create a life that is vibrant, magnetic, and unforgettable. Your attention becomes precious, your presence becomes meaningful, and your absence becomes felt. This is the essence of living fully, and the reason it is one of the most powerful ways to make someone truly miss you. Limiting availability is one of the most subtle yet effective ways to make someone notice your value and feel your absence. When a person is constantly accessible, it is easy for others to take them for granted. The human mind often equates unlimited access with lesser value, even unconsciously. But when you create healthy boundaries around your time, energy, and attention, you automatically increase your significance. You become someone whose presence is meaningful, whose attention is sought after, and whose absence leaves a noticeable space. Limiting availability does not mean being cold, distant, or unkind. It means understanding that your time is precious and should be shared intentionally. It means being selective about how, when, and where you invest your energy. By showing that your attention is not automatic, you naturally encourage others to reflect on its importance. He begins to recognize that your presence is a choice, and choices are inherently valuable. This simple shift transforms the way he perceives you and strengthens the emotional impact of your absence. When you are always immediately available, your presence can lose its weight. Responses become expected. Calls, messages, and interactions can blend into routine, and over time, the mind begins to overlook them. By contrast, when you limit availability, you create a sense of anticipation. People begin to look forward to moments with you, to value the attention you offer, and to recognize the uniqueness of your presence. This is not about manipulation. It is about creating a natural space for appreciation to grow. Limiting availability also reinforces self-respect. When you refuse to bend to every request or demand, you demonstrate that your life has structure, purpose, and boundaries. You are sending a clear message. Your energy is valuable and it is not to be squandered. This act of self-respect is magnetic because it communicates confidence and strength. People are instinctively drawn to those who hold themselves in high regard. When he begins to notice that your time is intentional, he starts to recognize your importance and feel the weight of your absence more deeply. Scarcity is a powerful psychological principle. When something is limited, it becomes more desirable. The more often someone has access to you without effort, the less they may reflect on the value you bring. But when your availability is balanced with intention, every interaction becomes meaningful. He learns that connecting with you is not guaranteed, and this naturally increases desire. Moments of absence create reflection, and reflection builds longing. By creating space, you allow him to appreciate your presence fully. Limiting availability also encourages independence. By not prioritizing constant contact, you focus on your own life, passions, and growth. This independence is irresistible because it shows that your happiness does not rely on external attention. People are drawn to those who are self-sufficient yet generous with their care. By managing your availability, you demonstrate that your energy is a gift rather than a given. This balance strengthens attraction, deepens emotional impact, and makes absence more powerful. It is important to note that limiting availability does not mean ignoring communication or becoming emotionally distant. It is about pacing interactions in a way that preserves your energy and amplifies significance, responding thoughtfully, being present in the moments you engage, and maintaining consistency in quality rather than quantity ensures that every interaction carries weight. By doing so, you create a rhythm that keeps him engaged, thinking about you, and valuing your attention. Limiting availability also teaches patience and self-control. It reinforces the understanding that relationships are not about constant validation, but about mutual respect and emotional investment. By holding space for yourself, you encourage him to notice the gap left by your absence. He begins to reflect on the value of your presence, to recognize the moments he may have overlooked, and to develop a natural longing. This psychological response is subtle yet profound. It works because it aligns with the natural human tendency to desire what is not always available. Another important aspect is that boundaries around availability foster deeper connection. When someone has to invest thought, attention, and effort to engage with you, they begin to value the relationship more. Interactions become intentional and meaningful, rather than routine or expected. Limiting availability creates a dynamic where emotional attachment grows, not through pressure or manipulation, but through awareness, anticipation, and appreciation. Your absence becomes a space for reflection, your presence a moment to treasure. By balancing presence and absence, you also increase your own clarity about the relationship. You gain perspective on who values your energy, who respects your time, and who truly appreciates your attention. This awareness allows you to invest wisely, to focus on meaningful connections, and to avoid overextending yourself. The result is a stronger sense of self, a more intentional presence, and a naturally heightened effect of absence on those who truly matter. Ultimately, limiting availability is not about creating distance for the sake of control. It is about creating significance through intentionality. When your attention is meaningful, your presence is impactful, and your absence is noticed, you create a natural psychological pull. Desire and longing grow without manipulation. Reflection and appreciation emerge naturally. By managing your availability thoughtfully, you amplify the impact of every moment, strengthen emotional attachment, and establish yourself as someone unforgettable. By understanding and applying this principle, you transform the way others perceive your value. Your presence becomes rare and significant, your absence meaningful, and your interactions unforgettable. Limiting availability is a demonstration of self-respect, confidence, and emotional intelligence. It is a powerful tool for cultivating desire, inspiring reflection, and ensuring that your worth is fully recognized. When applied with consistency and authenticity, it becomes one of the most effective ways to create emotional longing and to make someone miss you deeply. Unpredictability is a subtle but powerful way to make someone value your presence and notice your absence. When a person knows exactly how you will respond, what you will do, and how you will behave, familiarity sets in. Familiarity can be comfortable, but it often dulls attention and reduces emotional engagement. People are drawn to excitement, curiosity, and spontaneity. By introducing a sense of unpredictability, you naturally spark interest, attention, and emotional connection, creating a pull that is impossible to ignore. Being unpredictable does not mean being inconsistent or unreliable. It is not about creating confusion or chaos. It is about keeping a sense of vitality, freshness, and surprise in your interactions. Small, thoughtful changes in behavior, tone, or timing can create intrigue and engagement without being manipulative. When someone senses that they cannot fully predict your actions, they invest more attention and energy into understanding you. This investment builds emotional connection and deepens the impression of your presence, making your absence more noticeable. Unpredictability works because humans are naturally wired to respond to novelty. The brain releases dopamine when we encounter something unexpected, exciting, or stimulating. This neurological response creates attention, curiosity, and emotional engagement. When your behavior is intentionally varied in subtle ways, through gestures, surprises, or changes in pace, you trigger this response in him. Moments with you become memorable because they are dynamic, engaging, and emotionally stimulating. Over time, he begins to anticipate your presence, reflect on your uniqueness, and feel the weight of your absence when you are not around. Another key element of being unpredictable is spontaneity. Allow yourself to embrace moments of creativity, humor, or playfulness that break routine. These moments create positive emotional memories, associating your presence with joy, excitement, and engagement. When people remember feeling energized and alive in your presence, your absence becomes a reminder of those emotions. This creates longing, not through force or pressure, but through the natural pull of positive experiences and the unpredictability of joyful engagement. Unpredictability also enhances the perception of value. When someone cannot fully anticipate your reactions, they begin to see your attention as more precious. Your responses, your gestures, and your energy carry weight because they are not automatic. When interactions are meaningful and surprising, they create reflection and emotional attachment. Your absence then becomes more noticeable because the experiences you create cannot easily be replicated. He begins to miss the excitement, the depth, and the vitality that you bring into his life. This principle is especially powerful when combined with confidence. Being unpredictable requires the courage to express your authentic self without overthinking expectations. It is about showing different layers of your personality, embracing spontaneity, and living dynamically. When confidence supports unpredictability, you communicate that your presence is valuable, your energy is intentional, and your attention is meaningful. People naturally respect and desire the company of someone who is both dynamic and self-assured. Being unpredictable also encourages curiosity. When someone notices that there is more to discover about you, they become mentally and emotionally engaged. They reflect on your actions, anticipate your next move, and invest thought into the connection. This curiosity strengthens the emotional bond and enhances the experience of absence. When you step back or create space, he naturally thinks about the qualities that make you unique, deepening the longing for your presence. It is important to balance unpredictability with authenticity. Surprises, spontaneity, and changes in behavior should be genuine expressions of yourself, not acts designed solely to manipulate attention. Authentic unpredictability builds emotional depth and trust while creating engagement. When your unpredictability aligns with who you truly are, it sparks curiosity and admiration without creating confusion or doubt. This combination ensures that your presence is valued and your absence is meaningful. Subtle changes in routine can also enhance unpredictability. Instead of always responding at the same time or following the same patterns in communication or interaction, allow some variation. Show flexibility in your choices, embrace new experiences, and demonstrate that your life is dynamic and engaging. These variations make interactions with you more memorable and emotionally impactful. The human mind is naturally drawn to what is dynamic, evolving, and slightly unpredictable. When someone senses that you are full of depth and vitality, your absence creates emotional resonance. Unpredictability also strengthens emotional attachment because it requires attention. When interactions are stimulating, novel, and slightly unexpected, the mind engages more deeply. He remembers details, recalls shared experiences, and reflects on the emotional impact of your presence. This creates a sense of longing when you are not there. Absence is no longer a simple gap. It becomes a space where memory, emotion, and curiosity converge, increasing desire naturally. Finally, being unpredictable communicates independence and self-assurance. It shows that you are not a passive participant in the relationship, but a dynamic individual who lives fully, expresses freely, and embraces life's possibilities. This energy is magnetic. It makes your presence valuable, your attention meaningful, and your absence significant. By embracing unpredictability authentically, you transform ordinary moments into unforgettable experiences and create a lasting emotional pull that encourages reflection, admiration, and longing. In essence, unpredictability is a subtle art. It is about living dynamically, expressing authenticity, and creating moments that engage the mind and heart. It makes interactions memorable, emotional connections deeper, and absence more impactful. By mastering this approach, you become someone whose presence is cherished, whose energy is magnetic, and whose absence is felt profoundly. Communication is one of the most powerful tools to create connection. But it is not about how much you say. It is about what you say and the meaning behind it. Constant chatter, endless messages, or superficial interactions may fill time, but they rarely leave a lasting impression. True emotional impact comes from depth, from meaningful exchanges that engage the mind and touch the heart. When communication carries weight, it creates a presence that lingers and an absence that is felt more profoundly. Depth in communication begins with intention. Every word, every gesture, every message is an opportunity to express who you are, to share your values, and to create connection. When you communicate intentionally, it shows that your attention is valuable. You are not filling space with empty words, you are sharing pieces of yourself that matter. This approach creates emotional resonance, making your presence memorable and your absence noticeable. People remember quality, not quantity, and the more meaningful your interactions, the more impact they leave. Listening is a crucial part of deep communication. When you listen actively, when you understand, respond thoughtfully, and reflect on what is said, you create a sense of connection that goes beyond surface-level engagement. People naturally feel valued when they are truly heard. When interactions are meaningful, they are emotionally charged and they linger in memory. This leaves a lasting impression that is not easily forgotten. Absence then becomes a space where reflection and appreciation grow because meaningful communication creates emotional depth that endures even when you are not present. Sharing thoughts and feelings honestly, without oversharing or over-explaining, also enhances depth. Authentic expression creates trust and intimacy, which are key components of emotional attachment. By choosing words carefully, expressing yourself clearly, and conveying genuine emotion, you demonstrate confidence, intelligence, and self-awareness. These qualities are magnetic and they make your presence valuable. When you step back, he begins to notice the depth of your mind, the warmth of your heart, and the significance of your attention. Your absence becomes a space of reflection and longing. Another important aspect is asking questions that invite reflection and meaningful conversation. Instead of casual or superficial topics, engage in discussions that touch on emotions, experiences, and perspectives. When someone is encouraged to think deeply, to share their thoughts, and to feel understood, they form stronger emotional bonds. These connections are memorable because they involve both mental and emotional investment. Over time, he begins to recognize the uniqueness of your presence. And when you are not around, he feels the depth of what he is missing. Nonverbal communication also plays a powerful role. The way you express yourself through tone, gestures, and expressions can create meaning beyond words. Subtle cues of warmth, attentiveness, or emotion convey value and significance. These nonverbal signals are often remembered even more than spoken words. They create emotional anchors that persist in memory, making absence felt in a way that is subtle yet profound. The more emotionally resonant your communication, the stronger the pull when you are not present. Depth over quantity also encourages patience and anticipation. When interactions are intentionally spaced and meaningful, he begins to value the moments you share. He recognizes that your attention is not automatic, that your words are chosen carefully, and that your presence carries significance. This anticipation creates emotional tension that makes your absence impactful. He reflects on the conversations, recalls your expressions, and begins to associate your presence with importance and emotional fulfillment. Quality communication also builds respect. By expressing yourself with clarity, authenticity, and thoughtfulness, you demonstrate that your mind and heart are worthy of consideration. People naturally recognize and respect those who communicate with depth. This respect strengthens attachment, increases the value of your attention, and makes absence more meaningful. When someone experiences thoughtful, emotionally rich interactions, they begin to miss them when they are not available. Your absence becomes a reminder of the quality and significance of what you bring into their life. Choosing words that inspire, uplift, and provoke thought adds another layer of impact. Motivational, encouraging, or insightful communication leaves a lasting impression. People are drawn to those who challenge them intellectually, engage them emotionally, and make them feel understood. By communicating in this way, you create connections that are memorable, meaningful, and emotionally resonant. These connections linger in memory, creating a longing when you are not present. Depth in communication becomes a force that draws attention naturally and inspires reflection. Finally, Maintaining emotional consistency in communication enhances the effect of depth. When your words align with your actions and your presence is congruent with your messages, trust and attachment deepen. People feel secure, understood, and valued. This emotional consistency strengthens the impression of your presence and intensifies the experience of absence. He begins to notice the thoughtfulness, intelligence, and authenticity you bring to every interaction. The absence of these qualities becomes meaningful, creating reflection, longing, and desire. In essence, communicating with depth over quantity transforms interactions into emotionally significant experiences. It creates a presence that is remembered, valued, and cherished, and an absence that is felt, reflected upon, and missed. By engaging thoughtfully, expressing authentically, listening actively, and creating meaningful exchanges, you amplify your impact. Your words and actions leave emotional footprints that linger, making you unforgettable. The depth of your communication becomes the reason your presence is treasured, and your absence is profoundly felt. Self-improvement is one of the most profound ways to make someone notice your absence and value your presence. When you focus on growing, evolving, and becoming the best version of yourself, you radiate energy that is magnetic, inspiring, and unforgettable. People are naturally drawn to those who are constantly improving because they signal strength, ambition, and vitality. The changes you make in your life create an impact far beyond physical appearance. They shape your confidence, mindset, and the way others experience your presence.